Welcome to another episode of the Man the Fuck Up podcast. KimmyB. Oh.
It's Lenny. I'm not quite ready.
What are you Googling?
I'm giving instructions to people who are coming here so they don't burst in the back door right in the middle of our podcast.
Yeah, two-door. Actually, let's not give out that information. Anyway, unless you are invited by the ManTFup squad, in which case you will have proper directions to enter said building. Because I was about to explain how we have multiple entrances, but I won't do that. So, Len, it's just you and I in the ManCave today, and there's a lot of great headlines to discuss and things happening in the world. I was feeling away last week about the manufacturing industry in the United States of America and how
it's funny. I saw an episode about clothing on the Pawn Stars.
Okay.
Somebody brought in a vintage T-shirt from Nike from 1982 or something.
What
ridiculous.
Size was it?
It was a large, and they held it up, and he's like, "This goes to your point too." Held it up, and Chumley's like, "This looks like a medium," and the gentleman who is the T-shirt expert said, "Well, as the American population has gotten larger, they have changed the sizing on clothing to match the
ever-expanding waistline,
fat asses in this country."
There it is. See, I can't. I'm just glad that there's a professional out there that can confirm I'm not, in fact, losing my mind, and that we are literally expanding the sizes of clothes to match supersized America.
Yes. And the cookie industry and all of the snack industries have downsized the size of the products. The cookies, my favorite, Chips Ahoy, Dunkin' Milk, they've gone down probably, I don't know, half-inch in diameter from the originals because they can still sell the same amount in the package and get more money.
You and I are having two very different conversations.
But, it all goes to the sizing of everything.
The sizing of it.
They're making stuff.
The problem is, though, before when
they're giving you less for your money and making you fat.
Yeah, I was going to say, but before maybe people had a little more self-restraint and would only eat one sleeve of the Chips Ahoy, and now every time you sit down,
I limit myself to a sleeve.
The whole bag. Whole sleeve.
I
a
limit myself
size
to a
is
sleeve.
2 cookies, by the way.
You buy the cookies, you eat a whole sleeve, and that's it. It's done. You're done. You don't eat them again for a month.
The problem is maybe
2
you're
months,
done, Lenny,
6
but
months.
other folks are clearly not done
clearly.
at all. And that was one of my issues last week. I was on quite a rampage because a company that I've been buying clothes from for years, and it was always that's one of the reasons.
Is that multiple years or 4?
Multiple, 7.
Okay.
It's more than just the number 4.
Okay.
But that's how you create brand loyalty, right? There's nothing better. If I go on Nike.com, I know what size sneaker I wear, and I know what size sneaker I wear in multiple styles of their shoes, right? If I go on Adidas, I know what size sneaker I wear. I love it. I don't have to go to an actual store and try them on. Oh, are they going to fit? No, I know they're going to fit because
that's some boutique shit when you got to go try it on.
Yeah, or it should be, but now, again, with the way that these folks, are changing up the game, the clothing game, it really is annoying. I've been shopping with this company for forever. I did a massive haul a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, I'm not delusional. I know how big I am. There in no way, shape, or form should I be a size 4. It just shouldn't happen.
Were the clothes loose or were they tight?
No, these are tight. It was a bodysuit in particular. And so I get a large. In this company's bodysuits, I wear a large, right? So they're like cat suits. So I get this order, and they were literally there's spaces that are baggy. Now, I just ordered not that long ago.
So they were loose?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Know what I'm saying? But they're supposed to be tight.
I got that.
So they're supposed to be tight.
I'm just wondering.
And the first time I ordered it, no, but I haven't lost weight either. So this was not on me. This was definitely on them. So anyway, the point is, stop changing the size to accommodate the growing again waistline of America. We need to be real. There's accountability that has to happen here. And like I said, you know, if I decide to stuff my face a little extra this holiday season, I don't need you to overcompensate by taking an 8 and turning it into a 12, but keeping it with the 8 sticker. You feel me? Like, don't add any more spandex to my pants, please. Like, I need a little motivation to just hit the gym, be healthy, work out. I don't know. I'm frustrated.
I never step on a scale. I know when I'm pushing the limits by how my clothes fit.
Exactly. But how do you really know that, though, if they change the size of the clothes, unbeknownst to you, right? If you're always a 36 waist, whatever, but they start changing whatever they're making it with, or that 36 is really like a 38 now, but it still says 36 on it, do you really know? Because your clothes fit? So it's just frustrating. So I would encourage manufacturers out there, and this doesn't happen anywhere, swear to God, but here in America.
I would believe that.
Like, for real. And it's going to be really heartbreaking to a lot of people should they take a trip outside of the good old USA and walk into a denim store in, let's say, France or the UK. And yes, they know that there's a difference in size just because, if you look on a tag, it'll say UK, EU, America.
They're going to be a 27.
Yes, and they're going to literally have a meltdown in the whatchamacallit, and they're going to tell them, well, sorry, we don't use spandex in Paris. I don't know. But it was just really frustrating because it was hard-earned money that I spent.
The United States is filled with fat asses. We know that.
But we're getting fat because nobody's telling us we're getting fat.
Exactly.
Because
there's no accountability for anything
at all. But clothes are a good way of holding people accountable, but not if you continue.
I mean, it's also like it's almost like a big circle. Let's get the country fat so we can give them more meds, so that we can deal with this illness that comes from being fat.
But never cure it.
Never cure it. There's
never,
no cure.
Ever cure.
Why would you cure it?
Because
there's no point to that.
Way too lucrative.
There's no point to that.
Fat, stupid, and lazy.
And hopefully someone will wake up.
We're going to get in so much trouble for this. If you have never watched the ManTFup podcast before in your life, you will figure out quickly that this is a show based on a lot of, I don't want to say unpopular opinions, but, our frustration with political correctness, our frustration with cancel culture. I am always here for body positivity. I just want to put that out there because somebody's going to get really mad. Why are you using the word fat? Because it's true.
Yeah, I mean, listen. If you want to be that size and you feel good about yourself at that size, that's fine. Feeling good about yourself is fine. Everybody should feel good about themselves.
Yes, they should.
But if you don't feel good about yourself like that, you have to act, and you have to attempt, and you have to get whatever you need to make you feel better.
But I also say this: do we
there's
really?
Plenty of
the question is this, though,
guys out there who love.
Oh my goodness!
Thickums.
First of all, I'm a thickums McSnickums, but my point is more: do we really feel confident in our size if
it's an illusion?
We're forcing manufacturers to continue changing the metrics in order to remain that quote unquote size 8, size 10, size 12, whatever the case may be.
It's clear that our culture is only run by money. And you see, if you can make an extra large girl feel like she's a large, of course she's going to buy your clothes. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't she? I'm an extra large in Levi's, but I'm a large in Lucky. So I'm going to buy Lucky's because I'm only wearing a large. It's an illusion. It's a marketing ploy. It's a marketing ploy. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, it's very simple and it's very smart. If you wear a 8 in Lululemon, but you wear a 6 in some other yoga pants, you're going to buy the 6 because it makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to my point, I guess with the PC-ness and like the cancel culture stuff, again, people are going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. We should, but again, is that really true? It's almost like I feel like this is one of those things where you would get a body positivity crusader caught up in this argument. Because if I were to go through a closet, what are the chances of them falling prey to that exact mentality? Probably pretty high, right? Like, my whole thing is, to your point, Lenny, like, there are certain companies that over the years, like, I know how, what size I should be. Like Express is one of those. I love Express jeans. It is what it is. I've always had a booty, and they've always fit girls with a butt. But again, at the size that I'm at now, I should not be able to fit into the size that I fit into there. You know what I mean? But it doesn't make me feel better about myself. I'm like, this is fraudulent. This is fraudulent, people.
I understand, but it's the thinking. It's the same in the fast food industry. I mean, they give you this illusion that, hey, you're eating a McDonald's chicken sandwich, so it's so much better for you. Or, and it's an illusion.
Well, also, I mean, and that's portion size. I guess there's a bigger conversation here, and it goes, again, to Lenny's point about the cycle that we're in just as a nation. And
I like your choice of words.
What?
Bigger.
Yeah. Most men do. That's probably why they're okay with supersize and everything else.
I
don't know. It just
more to love.
But if you go anywhere else, if you travel around the world, the portions that we get here are astronomical. It's wild. Like literally, there is a restaurant company out right now that has an entire marketing campaign centered around the fact that you can come in and get 2-for-1 meals. Literally, you come in, you eat an oversized portion of fettuccine Alfredo. I'm not going to blast the company. I'm not going to do that. But then you can take an oversized portion of fettuccine Alfredo with you when you leave as well. So not only
for when you get home,
but do you know how crazy, and literally it's a 2-for-1 thing. And so now if everybody at the table, in most places you would get half of whatever your original dinner portion is. Like if you talk to people that are, in the health and wellness space, they would tell you take half of that and take that home off rip. So not only are we now saying, fuck that.
Wait.
Eat the whole portion and take another whole portion with you to go.
Here's a pound of pasta and a pound to go. So it's funny. You made me think of this whole thing, and maybe I'm crazy. I mean, people have told me I'm a little kooky about things. But my wife, always, if I open a bag of chips, she's got to have one. If I open a Snickers, she's got to have a bite. And I'm like, look, I got this Snickers bar because I want to fucking eat it, okay? If you would like some Snickers, I'll get you your own fucking bar. But mine
You're part of the problem.
is mine.
You're part
But
of
it's
the problem.
the point. It's the point. You open a can of soda and you're thinking about drinking that 16 ounces of soda, right? That's what you're thinking about. You don't want to give a sip.
We could all
to
use
someone
a
else.
little less Snickers and soda in our life.
I feel you. She's not doing it to make me healthy. She's doing it to drive me fucking bananas.
You say, I'm going to eat, this is I'll go get you a whole, she doesn't want a whole Snickers, Lenny. She just wants a bite of the Snickers.
Okay, take a bite of the Snickers and throw the rest in the fucking garbage, but you're not getting mine.
Gluttonous, my goodness.
Just that fucking simple.
Really, it would be even better for you. How is this helping our conversation?
I'm just saying. You just, the whole food thing.
Yeah, so basically you don't want to share your leftovers either, which is why now said restaurant is saying, listen, we know how people, we're trying to
I don't eat leftovers.
Are we trying to save the American family with this? Is that what they're trying to do?
I don't really eat leftovers.
We don't want to cause any problems when folks get home over leftovers. So it's better if everybody just gets their own to-go meal. That's really what they were doing?
I think so.
I don't. I think that I don't know.
They're just
to your point,
perpetuating the fat ass.
It's just wild, which I know you and I disagree when we talk about the COVID stuff, but I will tell you what,
What's COVID again?
This conversation, when the COVID talk first started and they started talking about underlying factors, did you not, as a person who has experience in the health and wellness industry, go, oh boy. Just when they started listing off what the underlying factors could be, diabetes, high blood pressure, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start talking about things that put you at risk, we're a nation of underlying conditions. We're a nation of at-risk people.
Yeah, there's no cures.
So guess what? Changing the size of the clothes ain't going to help us get better, right? Not having the conversation about actual health and wellness and portion size and things like that ain't going to help us avoid being in this same situation should another...
No, 20 years from now, XXX is going to be a large.
That's so scary.
But...
And you know what? We will literally... You know what?
It's us letting it happen.
But
It's
I'm
us allowing it.
complaining about it.
I'm
saying, please stop it. First of all, I like knowing what size I am, and you don't need to like expand it to make me feel better about myself. In fact, I would like a little help. Give me a little gut check of reality. You know what I'm saying? That's A. But B, we're literally killing ourselves. We're killing ourselves as a country. We worked so hard to get to a place, right, where we could expand the average life expectancy of people. And now we are literally going, hey, you know what? We got there. Now let's see how quickly we can undo all of that.
Yeah, I don't even know that the life expectancy in this country is really that high.
Oh, boy.
I just...
With a conspiracy theory?
No, I mean, in general, because I would bet more of the country is unhealthy than is healthy.
Yeah. Over 52% of the nation is...
Okay, so that means 52% of the nation's going to die early.
Not if we keep coming up with medications to keep them just holding on.
Right on the edge. Don't worry if we have to cut your foot off. It doesn't matter.
Sorry, by the way, these sweatpants are a medium, guys, and they should probably be a large, so this company needs to get it together, too.
Are they see-through?
They're not see-through.
They're not small enough, then.
Well, then... See, so Lenny...
Just saying.
By your accounts, literally, people should be getting small.
You know, this all goes back to Miami.
This is the problem.
This all goes back to Miami, you know. The girls in Miami in the 90s would go to Kmart and buy Barbie dolls and peel off the outfits and then squeeze their fat whatever rumps into them and then go to a rump shaker contest at Luke's. So, you know, it's like, really?
To be very clear. We like a fat ass here in the man cave, or at least I do. I'm all for fat asses. Fat, P-H-A-T, fat asses. Miami's known for the culo. Like,
yeah. Well,
I think we inspired generations, but now we just have to.
Now
we have to rein it in.
There's nothing wrong with the little meat there. Mm-hmm. It's how you wrap that meat is what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm saying?
How did we go? Why are we talking about wrapping?
When your pants are so tight, it looks like a bag of nickels. It's not good.
Please
not
clarify. Good. Listen, folks.
It's not good.
I don't know how we started talking about wrapping meat, but we do encourage safe sex here on the ManTFup podcast. Just gonna put that out there. Okay, sorry.
That's not the meat I was talking about. We were talking about fat asses.
I know, but you just can't start talking about wrapping meat, Lenny.
Well, you know. Hindquarters are hindquarters.
Anyway, I think I got a little bit. Anyway, yep, I don't. That's the visual.
This was your subject.
I didn't need a visual on that. Hindquarters,
sorry,
really.
You know, what, you know. This is the man side of the couch, so that's the man side of the opinion.
This is the man. What? The man side of the couch also brought up wrapping meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying next time. Maybe put a little bit more thought into your word choice.
Why? I consider that meat.
You're the only person that would.
That's not true because those two over there.
They were laughing because you said wrapping meat, and it.
No. Yeah. I don't know.
Nestor, when he said wrapping meat, what did you think of? What I'm talking about.
Are you picturing what I'm talking about? Absolutely. A bag of fucking nickels. What? Oh, you don't get that reference? All right. Well,
no.
We'll have to move on from there.
Are you talking about lumpy?
I'm just talking about a nice big ass is great.
Yep.
Wear the proper size.
Mm-hmm. Wear the proper size?
Yeah, that's all.
Well, unfortunately, they're making that difficult because you never know what size you're actually going to get these days. So, ladies, I feel you, but please stop dishing out fraudulently sized clothing. It's getting really frustrating.
Okay, you want to talk about something serious now?
Yeah.
Since we just demolished all the fat people in America.
Well, no, you demolished all the fat people in America.
You brought it up.
I just brought up that I was angry that they were trying to make me feel smaller than I am by making my clothes bigger. It was frustrating because I wanted that particular bodysuit to be very tight. So
listen, clothing industry in the United States.
Yeah.
Make the clothes smaller.
Yes.
So the girls have to go the opposite way.
Well, okay, I didn't say that.
But, you know, hey.
You're basically saying, because first of all, also,
anything you send to KimmyB, make sure it's a medium.
let's do the same thing for the fellas too, because I could use a few more abs. We could use a few more abs in America.
You know,
I mean, we can.
you want to go back to the dad body thing? You know,
no,
it's the women who created the dad body.
I am not here for a dad bod. So, I mean, I get that I get that people will strongly disagree with me. They like to have a little extra to like lay on and cuddle with. In fact, I just watched a show where there was a whole like, it's like find you a fat man season. Up north is like apparently in the winter, like that's a thing. Like go out if you
like
missed,
a teddy bear.
Yeah, if you missed cuffing season, it's like go find you a big dude, like a nice big dude, and like yeah, their value shoots up from like November to probably end of March, and then
back to summer.
Then it's back to summer bod. Yeah, so basically everybody's got their cycle, which I like. Everybody's winning.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the truth for women too?
I don't know. There's no seasons here.
Facts.
You know.
I mean, it gets a little cool.
Yeah.
Don't say that to the people.
Don't
that
get
were at
that cold.
Basel. I mean, no, we do that. We try. I mean, anyway, enough with the fashion talk. So there are other serious things. I don't really know how to transition into this next conversation. Coming out talking about
it's a current event.
It most definitely is. We've had some unfortunate situations in the headlines recently involving school shootings. One in particular happening in Oxford, Michigan. However, there was a little spin on this particular situation. First and foremost, obviously, sending our thoughts and our prayers to the families of everybody affected. 4 children lost their life in that particular high school.
Absolutely.
But they did charge the parents in this particular situation basically with 4 counts of manslaughter. And there were a lot of different factors that went to. I sent you the story just because I know you're very much a gun advocate to an extent. You want to have your guns.
I believe in them. There's no doubt about it. I believe there's a place for them. I believe you should own them.
Mm-hmm. But how do you feel about responsibility? As a parent yourself?
That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. It's the most important. And charging the parents, I think the way the kid got the gun, apparently, we can only go by what we're hearing out there. But, if the parents were negligent, they should be charged. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's going to go to a full manslaughter charge or anything like that. But if they clearly knew their kid was not responsible enough to be around that kind of environment.
He's 15, so he can't in any state legally own a handgun, correct?
Yeah, I totally understand that. But, my kids are young. We have guns in our house. I carry a gun with me all the time. My kids know where it is. I know that my kids won't go near it. My kids have been taught to respect it from little kid, from when they were this big. Mm-hmm. This is a gun. It's dangerous. Don't ever touch it. And they never have. We have swords hanging on the wall in my house. It's just how you bring up your kids. Now, if you have a gun sitting on the counter in your bedroom and you have a kid who's just curious, we started originally with my oldest never having a gun, right? A toy gun. Mm-hmm. We never wanted him to have a toy gun. By the time he was 3 years old, he's using his fingers to make a toy gun. So it's apparently inherent in all these video games, everything you see, playing with guns. I mean, I was a kid. I had a BB gun. I could ride around on my bicycle with my BB gun and never have to worry about it. I'd go to the school and we'd, shoot cans or whatever on Saturday and Sunday. And I grew up in a very popular area, a very populated area. So there was no question about it. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, they're taking these guns, giving them to kids, toy guns, and then they're leaving real ones out and not paying any attention to it. So the parents should be responsible for that. Now, whether they're going to get any kind of conviction on them, I don't see it because there's too much at stake by setting that precedent.
But my question to you is this. They've started this already with drunk driving situations. Parents throwing graduation parties for kids, And we've seen this on numerous occasions now that if somebody leaves said party under the influence and gets in an accident, I think it actually happened in a canoe. It wasn't even involving a car. I believe a child that was or a teen that was at someone's house for like a graduation party ended up drowning in a lake behind the house, and they held the parents responsible because at that moment in time you were well aware of everything going on and they had taken the keys, so they had done everything in their power, I think, to try to protect the children to an extent. But obviously if you're allowing minors and people that are not of age to consume alcohol, so I guess in saying that, I'm for it. Like,
I absolutely think they should be charged. I absolutely think they should be held accountable. What I don't think is that it's going to be an easy battle, because you're now bringing in a third element. With alcohol, with drunk driving, with this, that's been taboo for a long time. And parents should be involved in that. But you don't see Budweiser fighting to, keep alcohol at parties where there's minors.
I mean, the issue is that...
But you're going to see people fighting to keep guns at houses.
In all of these cases, though, for the most part, the guns belong to the parents. So at the end of the day, that's your, as the adult, that's your weapon. If you did not keep it secure enough, if you were not paying close enough attention to the mental fitness of your children, if you were not engaging them in those conversations, I mean, these people had they've made the case against them, I think, a little easier for the prosecution, which is why, to your point, Lenny, I think they even felt emboldened enough to go after the parents, because there's social media. I believe the mother had posted on Facebook being out with the son and posted a picture of the new handgun, like, oh, this is so-and-so's early Christmas present, and it's the handgun, right? Like, so now you're acknowledging the fact on social media that you've purchased a weapon for an underaged individual. Like, you've provided evidence, that helps the prosecution in this situation. And then beyond that, they were in the school the day of the incident, meeting with, school authorities, school officials, and basically insisted that their son go back to class and not be suspended, even after a teacher had caught him searching for ammunition on the internet, even after a teacher had caught him, drawing a very disturbing picture and depiction of an incident, saying the voices won't stop, please help me. These parents still insisted that their child go back to class, and, according to them, unbeknownst to them, that gun that they had just bought him was in his backpack, and that was then the weapon that he used to commit this heinous crime.
Yeah, you know how I feel about parenting. We've gone over that several times. Now, you have two parents in a house. How does this kid slip through that? How does something like this happen? How detached were the parents? I mean, it seems like there was just a series of
detached. They bought him the gun. Like, no, this is, so you're clearly, so this is I think where you're gonna end up, like, we're gonna have a situation here, and I told you in episode 1 of the ManTFup podcast, what did I tell you? I said, nobody wants your goddamn guns, right?
I feel you.
That's what I said. But this is part of the problem, and you're never going to be able to stop this particular situation from happening. I'm not talking about the school shooting, but a parent providing their child, you know what I mean? Because they took all the proper channels. I'm sure that gun is registered, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not totally.
Yeah, well, we talked about this, and there should be, everyone should be able to own a gun, but there should be, tougher ways to get it. You don't let a kid get a car without a driver's license. You don't give a kid a gun without this proper...
falls directly on the parents, because it's not like it's not like he walked into a gun show at 15 and provided a fake ID, or it's not like he went into the streets and in an underhanded way manipulated his way around the situation. This was given to him as a gift by two adults, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who are supposed to have his best interest, and you would hope the best interest of their community at large. And I guess that's where we start to talk about the bigger picture there. You know what I'm saying? Because to your point, I went to summer camp, and I went to summer camp from the age of like 4. I learned how to shoot rifles when I was 6. Like that was a part archery, riflery, a very controlled atmosphere. But a 6-year-old over a block with a full-on rifle with real and ammo just sitting in blocks. Again, that's a long time ago, and that's clearly not happening. I don't think in today's day and age. We had our JROTC program at my high school had a full-on shooting range in our high school.
It's an Olympic sport. I mean, it's shooting.
Still have that?
Shooting, yes, of course.
They still have riflery ranges in their schools.
Well, I don't know if they have them in their schools. I mean, with the advent of all this other stuff. I mean, we talked about the school shootings a little bit and how prevalent they are and increasing, and there's a lot of factors that are leading into it. The parents' disconnect to their children, I think, is one. The parents' disconnect with owning a firearm. I own a lot of guns, and I want to take Miranda shooting. She doesn't want to shoot, so I'm like, I understand you don't want to shoot, but I want you to at least know what a gun is, how to hold it. In the event something catastrophic happens, you know how to use it. Okay. And I'm not going to show her. I want to get an instructor to show her. She's against it. My youngest wants to go shoot it. My oldest has been old enough to own a firearm for 5 years. He doesn't have one.
Yeah.
He wants one, but he's not familiar enough with it.
I got you.
It's just never been that choice. And yeah, clearly they
But
can.
you know what? I have to say then that I respect him wholeheartedly if he's not familiar, you know what I mean? And that he hasn't done it, because in this state, we know it's not very difficult to go out and get a weapon. And sometimes as soon as you turn 18, you turn 21.
Well, it's 18's legal in any state in the country
to have a
rifle.
Handguns are 21 for the most part.
A lot of these situations are hunting rifles and
that have been, yeah.
I mean, they call them assault weapons. It's an AR-15.
Yeah.
People hunt with them. It's a hunting rifle. It's a rifle. I mean, most hunting rifles are typically more powerful than an AR-15.
And I will say this, because coming from a community that has been affected by school violence, we're here in South Florida. We all know what happened in Parkland, and I was actually on the air when that entire situation transpired, and it was one of the hardest days of my entire career, and I've been on the air through some crazy stuff. We had the situation at the Fort Lauderdale airport. I shared with Lenny that when I was in junior high school, we actually had an assailant with a weapon come into our school, and he shot and killed our nurse and tried to, I'm sure, inflict harm on classrooms with children in them, and then our principal and some other teachers just intervened. And so luckily, as hard as that is to say, one life was lost, and none of our students, were injured, and no other teachers. So to your point, Lenny, it has been going on for a long time, and we don't talk about the subject lightly, but it's one of those things, like, we had a little bit of a reprieve from it with everything with COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids being at home, learning virtually, they weren't in that situation, and now as we're getting back to quote unquote normal life, it's unfortunate, but this has become a part of normal life. These kids have active shooter drills.
In
elementary school.
I think and I could be wrong. Again, it's an opinion, but social media in general, the internet, the awareness of all these things that happen all the time, could be pushing some people who aren't necessarily that popular, aren't necessarily that person, into wanting to etch their name into something that's going to last forever. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Is that?
Well, we've discussed a couple of different, and I think that the community at large will agree there's multiple factors to these situations. There's bullying, and we've talked about bullying has taken on this isn't the bullying from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, not even the 90s. Those cell phones and computers and social media have changed the game. There's no escaping that onslaught and the assault that these kids can really,
Well, there was an incident not too long ago that I was kind of familiar with that, this one kid was texting this other kid, your mother should die, just wishing him all kinds of horrid things. And the other kid went into school and punched him right in the face.
Oh, you love that, though.
But you know what?
I'm glad he punched him.
Yeah, so am I.
Yep.
And you know what? They couldn't bring themselves to throw that kid out of school for punching him in the face because it was clear why he did it. And this goes back to our conversation we had with Floyd. Freedom of speech, all for it.
Yep.
If you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you're going to get knocked the fuck out.
Yep.
It's just, and I totally believe in that.
But when we talk
there should be no consequences.
But that's the problem is that, once you bring your fist into it, now it's assault. But there was a verbal assault that was happening. There was an emotional, and that's not just being, I know we throw around, and you especially love the pussification of America. The things that these young people say to each other, and back to that unrelenting assault that they now have access to or to inflict because of social media, because of the phones, because of email. Then you see them in the schools. There was a time when if you got bullied in school. But as soon as you left, you know what I mean? You could go home.
You were free, yeah.
You could breathe a little bit easier, right? That doesn't exist anymore. It's just never, it's never ending. And yes, we can say, well, don't have a phone. It doesn't work that way. That's not a realistic response to this. And I think that parents, school officials, teachers, mentors, coaches need to step back a little bit because it's not the way that it used to be. It's very different now. And then on top of it, you add into it these extremely graphic video games. Again, this is not an attempt to make excuses for any of these incidents, these atrocities. But when you start to, again, I played Super Mario Brothers. You played Atari. You know what I'm saying? Now it's Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Fortnite, and it's real and it's graphic, but there's no, again, consequences. You're sitting here mowing people down, right? Left and right, arms flying. It's wild, but it's not real life. And what happens when these kids separate themselves from reality just enough?
Listen, this charging these parents is definitely important. But if you go back to how many times in your life, and I don't know if you did, but I know I did, you'll hear your parents say, I had to walk through snow up a hill to get to school. Yeah, Dad, it was different then. Okay? Granted, it was different then. We're evolving as a country, as a species, in general. The growth that has happened between my generation and the generation that's in middle school and even elementary school now is tenfold of what it was between my parents and me. There wasn't that much change between my parents and me. Now it's become, it's exaggerated. It's, it's Grant Cardone, 10X it. And that's what it is. That's what it's become. So if you want your kids to adjust to this, the parents need to adjust to it. The parents need to understand what their kids are being bombarded with on a daily.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, for these parents in particular, I just think that their oversight was so egregious in so many ways that not only are these charges warranted, but I really hope that they say, because no parent wants their child to be the
parents are not getting off in this case. There's no way they're getting off. They might not get manslaughter, but they're getting charged. And they're open, forget it, civil, they're done.
Oh yeah. And again, the school department as well, because at that point I don't care what a parent wants. Send my kid back to class. Absolutely not. Take your kid to a therapist. I want an evaluation. You're over here drawing pictures of things that we know children are capable of in 2021. That's the scale. This isn't 30, 40 years ago where a drawing, we know that these young people can and will act on these things that are happening in their
When you were growing up, didn't you know who the kids were that were a little out there? That were a little like, you don't fuck with him.
Yeah, yeah.
There's always that kid in class.
Yeah. That's a little off, a little ostracized. Yeah, they kind of stay to themselves.
At lunch he's out there pulling lizards apart. You see
no,
those guys.
No, I didn't have any of those kids.
You see those kids. There's always
there was not in my school.
There's always one of the, and it used to pop out at you. Now, it's kind of, all of these kids don't notice. Nobody picks up on it because everybody's like this. Nobody sees. Nobody sees over here. Nobody sees over here. Even the teachers. I went to my kid's school.
Can I tell you something though?
I went to my kid's school, and I'm walking in, and the security guard is like this, and he doesn't even look up. And my kids go to a private school.
That just gave me chills.
And the security guard doesn't even look up from his phone.
Did you say something?
No. Well, I mean, I screamed at everybody else, but I didn't say anything to them. You can't get in the door of the school, but this is from the parking lot to the.
But the problem is, these are not people that are breaking into the schools. These kids.
So this is society in general. So I always knew who the cuckoo kids were in my class. The teachers always knew who the cuckoo kids were in my class, but now they don't even know half the kids that are in their class because everybody's in this little.
Well, I was going to say, too, you don't even, I guess before you would see also doodling and, you know what I mean? Like this kid actually drew on paper, which is a rarity in schools these days, too, because everything is done on iPad.
He likes art. He
or
must
on
be
a phone
cuckoo.
or whatever. No, all artistic children are not cuckoo. Lenny.
I'm just saying. If a kid is using a pen and paper, clearly there's something wrong. Why isn't he on Instagram?
Off. Why
it's like...
Doesn't he have a stylus?
It's,
no. But that is to your point. Like, people were much more engaged. I don't know. The whole situation is just, it's heartbreaking and it's frustrating. And again, I tip my hat to the young people of the Parkland community there who have been fighting so vigorously and vigilantly for some sort of change. And the fact that, again, here we are 3 years later and it's still happening. Like I said, we had a little bit of a reprieve from it, just due to COVID and the nature of virtual learning and kids not being in those situations. But as we are getting back to normal, what we don't want to see is these school incidents increasing to the degree that they were prior to the pandemic. And I just don't know the best way to do that. I think there's no
quick fixes. That goes without saying. And the problems stem all the way across the board, from teachers not being able to engage students the way they did before, parents not being engaged with their kids the way they were before. I mean, quick fixes. Schools in tough areas have metal detectors. You got to walk through them. I mean, they're not spending our lottery money on other things. They might as well just spit out some metal detectors. There's a lot of little things you can put in place to stem this from happening. You're never going to stop it, but to stem it. But that people always look for, it's the gun's fault. It's the parents' fault. It's this fault. It's that fault. It's this. It's a combination. There's no quick fix. You want a quick fix? Put metal detectors in the schools and make kids walk through them. That's a basic. Put a staff member there searching every kid's backpack because that kid wouldn't have made it into school. He was in the principal's office and with his parents.
Why do people have a problem with that?
Well, we don't want taking away our freedoms. We don't want to hurt their feelings.
Prison, but at the end of the day, you want your children to be safe.
Yeah, it doesn't have to feel like a prison.
No.
It doesn't feel like a prison when you go to a sporting event
or when you go to the airport.
Clearly, private industry doesn't have a problem scanning you. Why do our schools? So you want a quick fix? That's the quickest. Do you want the real fix? There's no real fix. It's education across the board for everyone, and it's being aware. Yeah, definitely accountability. That's the biggest problem in this country.
Because
there's none of that.
No, and as parents, that means taking accountability for your children.
Yeah.
Too. Good, bad, and otherwise.
My kid would never do that. Bullshit. Yeah. My kid's a kid. Of course he's going to do stupid shit. That's what kids do.
Yeah. This is just next level stupid shit. But again, like I said, to the community of Oxford and to the prosecutor there, I say kudos. I think that this will be talked about for a long time because this could be, that shift that we needed as a nation, not again to come for people's legally bought, but to really, bring awareness to the situation and to force, adults' hands into being more actively involved.
Listen, all the Second Amendment fighters out there need to get behind the prosecutor on this one. That's where they need to be. That's where they need to be, because it's those parents that are going to cost you your guns. And if you don't make a stand for it now, then...
That's a great point, though.
It's the truth.
That's a great point, because when you're reckless and things like this, that is not what... People who are truly fighting for the Second Amendment for what it really is, these are people who believe in accountability. These are people who believe in proper, handling of weapons. You know what I'm saying?
And they believe that they don't want the government to be able to walk all over them because they can't arm themselves. So, it is what it is. But when things like this happen and it's reckless and it's clearly, a chain of events, those people, the NRA needs to spend money on educating parents, not, fighting for their rights.
Facts. Oh, well, I'm very... Go ahead, Lenny.
What do you want me to tell you?
I like that you said that, though. Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the middle.
No, I know it's the middle.
It's the
but
middle.
Again,
it's the truth.
To the folks out there that are truly, truly fighting for the Second Amendment purity,
listen, the right to bear arms is the right to bear arms. Hey, if you want to keep that, you have to make sure that idiots don't bear arms.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, these parents are some idiots.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is a good amount of talking. We from clothes to guns. I mean, if that ain't...
What are you going to do?
If that ain't ManTFup, I don't know what is.
It's a good conversation.
Sure. It actually is.
It's a sad thing that we have to have these conversations over tragedies, but it's someone's got to make it aware.
No, for sure. And like I said, I mean, as a person, I don't own a gun. When we talk about things like this and having been through it personally and seen what it can do to a community, it's just the irony of having to continue to have that fight is just frustrating. You know what I'm saying? Because it's at the end of the day, there's bigger conversations to be had than what we talk about, but we avoid having the real conversations. We're very easily misled, or taken off topic by other things that don't affect us the same way incidents like this do. And we forget that because in another week we'll be back onto some other bullshit, that is not as important as educating our communities, as making sure our kids are okay, as talking about mental health, as talking about, proper gun legislation and what the Second Amendment is and what it means to be a responsible gun owner in America, and all of those things. We'll get caught up in some dumb, I hate to say a new variant, a new... whatever it is, we'll start talking about some other shit, and this will continue to happen.
Diversion.
And take lives. So, not if the ManTFup podcast can help it, though. Not if we can help it.
We're here for everybody.
Yep.
To some extent.
and here for you can mean a lot of things. Here to piss you off.
Uh-huh.
It can be here to get you enraged. It can be here to make you laugh.
Here to argue with you.
Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to argue with each other, which... we do sometimes.
Occasionally.
Anyway, you can check us out everywhere. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Buzzsprout.
YouTube.
You can email me at KimmyB
ManTFupTV.
ManTFupTV.com. You can actually check out ManTFupTV.com as well. Anything else? Lenny, Len?
I think that's about it for today.
Is that about it?
Mister looks like he's had it.
That's me stretching, by the way.
Oh, yeah, and banging on the microphone.
Can I tell you something?
Only twice today.
You can
Pretty
hear
good.
When
She's
I
getting better.
I didn't actually physically.
I think
hit
Nestor
it.
kept it way away from you today. That was that was the whole.
It's when I hit it with my hand.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyway.
Peace out. See you next time.